Hey. Welcome back to Eat, Sleep, Breathe, Hoops. Thank you once again for joining me. You know, it's your boy, Nikki P. And y'all saw the thumbnail. We're going to get into it and talk about the top 10 best mid-range guards or mid-range wings, even if some of these players are small forwards, you know, shooting guard, small forward, point guard, whatever it is, the best mid-range players. But we're going to get into the best top 10 mid-range players to ever play the game from a wing position. And today, I'm honored to talk about this crucial element in basketball that separates the good from the great, and often the great from the greatest, the mid-range game, which you see a lot of players lack today. It's an area on the court where the margin for error is small, but for the best players, it's where they shine and feel extremely comfortable. We'll be discussing 10 of the greatest mid-range players to ever play the game. These players not only dominated statistically, but also displayed extraordinary talent, combined fundamentals, creativity, and athleticism to make the mid-range their canvas. Number 10, even though he's one of the greatest three-point shooters ever, he was a killer in the mid-range too. Reggie Miller, one of the deadliest shooters, period, in NBA history. Known for his three-point prowess, Miller also had an underrated mid-range game that he utilized with efficiency and with great footwork to get off looks that he wanted. What made Reggie special, like I just mentioned a second ago, was his fundamental footwork. He moved like a small guard, but his size and quickness allowed him to rise over defenders with ease. His handle wasn't flashy, but it was functional, and his ability to create space without needing a crossover or step back was a testament to his IQ, although he did have a good step back. Whether coming off screens or using one or two dribbles to get to his spots, Miller was clinical and lethal from the mid-range, using his sound footwork to stay balanced and square up for the shot. Number 9. If it wasn't for injuries, this man would be higher on a lot of folks' GOAT lists. Brandon Roy. Roy could have been way higher if it wasn't for those injuries that cut his career short. However, for the few years we did get to see him shine at a high level, Roy was a mid-range assassin and a mid-range maestro. His footwork was incredibly smooth, allowing him to shift defenders off balance with subtle movements. Roy had a combination of explosiveness and poise, which made him a matchup nightmare. Ask Kobe. Kobe used to rave about Brandon Roy back in the day and had the utmost respect for his game. His change of pace, along with his ability to stop on a dime and elevate, made Brandon Roy's mid-range game virtually unguardable. Despite not having a long career, Roy left a lasting impression, and his talent alone earns him the spot on this list. Number 8, Jamal Mashburn. I'm sure some of y'all NBA hoop heads remember him, and if you don't, go do your homework. I might make a little video on Jamal Mashburn, a solo dolo video for him, just to remind folks. Jamal Mashburn doesn't get mentioned as often as he should, but his mid-range game was vicious. Standing at 6'8", Mashburn had the size of a forward, but the skill set and the handle and the footwork of a guard. His handle allowed him to create space with ease, and once he got to his spot, it was over because the jumper was smooth as butter. His footwork, especially in one-on-one situations, was impeccable. He could turn over either shoulder, fade away, either going to the left shoulder over the right shoulder, it didn't matter. And his ability to shoot off the dribble from the mid-range was as good as anyone's during his era. He made difficult shots look easy, and his combination of size, skill, and scoring ability made him a unique threat. Number 7, the truth, Paul Pierce. Peasy was methodical in his approach to the mid-range game. He wasn't the quickest or the most athletic player, but he mastered the art of positioning angles and balance. Pierce's footwork was precise, efficient, allowing him to get to his spots with ease. His jab step was lethal, often freezing defenders long enough to rise up for his signature mid-range jumper. Pierce's game was built on patience. He didn't rush, but he was deceptively quick, and he could score with a hand in his face because he knew how to use his body to create just enough space to get the looks off that he wanted. His clutch performances and knack for hitting tough mid-range shots made him one of the best in his era and one of the best to ever do it in the mid-range. Number 6, Vince Carter. Yup, Vince Sanity. He wasn't only known for dunking, folks. Vince Carter was often remembered for his high-flying dunks, but his mid-range game was just as deadly. What made Vince so special was his combination of footwork and explosiveness. He could elevate so quickly off the dribble that defenders had no time to contest the shot. Carter also had excellent footwork in the post, which allowed him to back down smaller guards and rise up for fadeaways over both shoulders, just as I mentioned for Paul Pierce and other players on this list. Whether attacking off a quick first step or using his size to create separation, Carter's mid-range jumper was an essential part of his offensive arsenal, especially as his career progressed and his game matured and he was playing more below the rim. There's a reason why the man lasted for over 20 years. Number 5, T-Mac, aka Tracy McGrady. He had one of the most aesthetically pleasing mid-range games in NBA history. Kobe himself mentioned that T-Mac was just a 6'9" version of him. His footwork, combined with his natural scoring ability, made him nearly unguardable. McGrady could handle the ball like a guard, but the length and height of a forward, which allowed him to shoot over defenders effortlessly. He was quick, explosive. He was a master of using hesitation dribbles, had a nice handle. The spin move and the footwork was ridiculous. He could hit the step back on you, create space. Footwork was precise, especially pulling up off the dribble, going right or left. He could hit tough, contested middies all day, often with defenders draped all over him. The ability was through the roof, and McGrady's ability to score from anywhere on the court made him a mid-range assassin. Next up, number 4, Carmelo. Carmelo Anthony's mid-range game was all about power, finesse, and elite footwork. Melo had one of the best post games for a guard-forward hybrid, and he could score with ease from mid-range on anybody, often using his quick, high-release jumper. His footwork in the post was impeccable. He had an arsenal of moves, from fadeaways to step-backs, and his ability to use his strength to create space made him a nightmare for defenders. Melo wasn't really quick or fast in terms of getting up and down the court, but within his moves and within his jab steps, he had a lot of explosion within his moves that made him create that space all the time whenever he wanted. Melo's scoring versatility made him one of the most dominant mid-range scorers of his era, and he could punish defenders in the post and play that bully ball if he needed to, or face up and shoot over you with ease. These next 3 players, I'm ranking them in a, since they're, in my opinion, they're 3 players that nobody else has really shown to have the type of talent that these next 3 have. I'm ranking them in a 1A, 1B, 1C instead of 3, 2, 1, because they really, in a vacuum, they mirror each other a lot. Although they may have played with other players and, some had better careers than others, but their games in a vacuum, although they may not have the exact same game, the end result in terms of absolute unstoppability and dominance is the same. So 1C, Allan Iverson. AI's mid-range game was unique because he didn't need a traditional post-up game, even though he did have it. He showed it, in bits and pieces if you followed his career. He had the post-up game, but he was a small dude, so just didn't get to break it out too much. What set Iverson apart was his speed and agility, paired with his incredible footwork. AI could get to any spot on the floor, and his quickness made him impossible to stay in front of. His crossover was legendary, but once he got his defenders off balance, his ability to pull up going right or left, anywhere from the court, was extremely deadly. Iverson didn't rely on height or length. Instead, he uses pure speed, quickness, footwork, explosion, and a crazy handle, an uncanny ability to stop and rise up on a dime from anywhere on the court before defenders could react. His toughness and ability to finish through contact also made him one of the most unguardable players the NBA has ever seen. 1B, Kobe Bean Bryant. Yes, sir. Kobe's footwork. Y'all know about his footwork, and if you don't, you just ain't been watching basketball. His footwork was textbook. You could teach a class on it. He was a master technician on the court. Whether it was his fadeaway jumper, his use of the jab step, his use of ability to either go over either shoulder and hit you with fadeaway jumpers, Kobe's footwork allowed him to score effortlessly from mid-range. He studied the game obsessively, and it showed in how he polished his game. Kobe could break down defenders with his handle, but it was his ability to create separation with subtle movements, fakes, pivots, and fakes looking exactly like his real moves when he did make the real move, just like his pump fakes were looking exactly like his jumper when he did shoot jumpers. It made him lethal. His footwork was so advanced that even the best defenders struggled to contain him. Every movement had a purpose, and every shot he took from the mid-range was a result of years of mastering the fundamentals. 1A, the GOAT, MJ Michael Jordan. You know who it is, the gold standard. Jordan's footwork, similar to Kobe's, was second to none, and like Kobe, he operated with surgical precision. Whether in the post-up, or facing up, Jordan's ability to create space and rise up for his jumper was unparalleled. His fadeaway jumper was iconic, and his footwork in the post was flawless. And he had ridiculous quickness and speed that was unseen of in players 6'6" and up. What made Jordan even more special was his competitive drive. He could hit difficult contested shots with 2-3 players draped over him, and his mid-range game was a key part of that dominance. Jordan combined strength, athleticism, and footwork to become the greatest scorer the game has ever seen, and his ability to operate from the mid-range was a cornerstone of that greatness. And an added cherry on top for Jordan's game was the ability to palm the ball. Jordan got so many easy, open looks from pump faking players out with just palming the ball, whether he was faking a pass or faking a jump shot. His ability to palm the ball created probably 2, 3, 4 easy buckets for him every game. In conclusion, the mid-range game is an art form. Unfortunately, it's a lost art form in today's game that, players aren't working towards developing complete games, which they should be. And hopefully that gets back to being the standard again. So anybody watching this that's coming up and trying to hoop, develop a complete game, you feel me? Whether it was through speed and agility like Allan Iverson, technical footwork like Kobe, Bryant, and MJ, or sheer talent and power like Melo, each player brought their own unique flair to the mid-range. These guards didn't just score, they perfected an area of the game that requires discipline, skill, and a deep understanding of basketball, and a broader understanding how knowing that if you master the mid-range and you have a jumper, it's going to be that much easier to get off looks from three and get to the basket because players don't know what you're going to do. They're the best mid-range players to ever play the game, and their legacies will forever be tied to their ability to dominate in the critical area of the court called the mid-range. Let me know what y'all think about this video, folks. Thanks again for tuning in to Eat, Sleep, Breathe Hoops. It's your boy, Nikki P. What y'all think? How y'all got it? Y'all got somebody in there that I didn't? Y'all think somebody needs to go higher or lower on the list? Let me know what's up in the comments. Feel free to share with your friends, subscribe. Let's keep the discussion going. And until the next time, I'll holla at you when I see y'all and hit y'all with another video. I'm gonna keep them coming. Y'all keep supporting the channel. I appreciate y'all. Take it easy. Peace.